Hi, welcome to the Sweater Weather Knits podcast. I'm Emily. This is my first episode of the podcast. I am, to be honest, pretty embarrassed to be speaking to myself in an empty house. But hopefully you're watching and it doesn't come off like that. So this is my little podcast about knitting and sewing and everything else that happens in my life. I love to create things. I love to just work with my hands a lot. I bake and I cook. I live in North Carolina with my husband and our daughter, Liesel. She's 2. She's really fun. 2 is a fun and hard age, but it's really fun. And I fill my time when I'm not working or taking care of her. I fill my time with a lot of knitting and a lot of sewing. So I wanted somewhere that I could talk about it. Hopefully you're listening and you're out there. I know that not everybody's into knitting and sewing or sewing and knitting. Everybody kind of has their thing. So I'm going to try my best to structure this podcast so if you are into one but not the other, you can easily kind of move forward or back as you need to, and feel free to close out when you're done. But hopefully you're into everything. I love knitting and sewing. I find that they go really well together. Just a little bit of background. I grew up with a mom and a grandma who sewed for me constantly. My mom's been sewing forever. My grandma's been sewing forever. So I grew up, there's a Rhea Butcher bit where she talks about if she had a musical of her life, the song would be called, or one of the songs would be called Raised Among the Remnants, because her mom worked at Joann Fabrics when she was little. And that spoke to me a lot because my mom didn't work there, but I was constantly at the fabric store and cutting out patterns, choosing costumes. I knew pretty much everything about sewing. Even though I didn't sew when I was a kid, I knew so much about it. So I always had that in the back of my mind. But I didn't really decide to actually start sewing on a regular basis by myself without my mom standing next to me until I was, let me think, like 23, 22. I had just moved to DC with my boyfriend, now my husband, and I was in an office job and I didn't really have anything to do, and it's cold in DC after moving from Florida, so I didn't really want to go outside much, and in the winter at least. So I took a few classes and got a little machine, and I made so much. I made so many of my clothes and all kinds of things. I learned how to quilt about 6 years ago, and that took over my life for a long time too. But when I got pregnant, I was really uncomfortable and I didn't sew at all. I just had no desire to do anything. So I haven't quilted in a really long time, but I've recently gotten more into sewing, sewing my own clothes again, sewing Liesel's clothes, sewing pretty much everything. I just love it. If you look behind me, there's my machine and my serger, but there's also a nice stack of fabric back there. That's my sewing plans for Liesel's fall wardrobe. We will see how far I get, but I love sewing for her, and she's at the age now where she can recognize, oh, mommy made me this dress or mommy made me this shirt, and she seems to enjoy it some days. Some days she wants nothing to do with me, and that's just the way 2-year-olds are. So that's my sewing side, and then knitting. About 5 years ago this September, I guess, I picked up knitting again. I had learned when I lived in DC, I took classes, and I never really got the hang of it. I didn't hold the needles the way my instructor wanted me to hold the needles, and it all seemed so overwhelming to learn a new craft language. Purls and knits and, KBF and K2TOG. Like, it was too much, and I couldn't get the hang of it. And I was just overwhelmed. So I put it aside, didn't really think much about it. My mom and my aunt knit on and off, and so I've known about it, but it was never my thing. And then 5 years ago, I just got the bug again. I ordered a couple skeins of Mad Tosh DK from Eat Sleep Knit because they're somewhat local, 4 hours away. But I found them really fun and cool, so I ordered yarn from them. And that's when the Tin Can Knit Simple collection came out too. And I love Tin Can Knits. First of all, you're going to see a lot of Tin Can Knits projects, but their simple collection was awesome. It taught me how to knit sitting on my couch watching their videos and tutorials and reading their PDFs and patterns. So it was perfect. I took off from there. I mean, my first projects are a little bit of a mess, but I took off from there and I've been knitting constantly ever since. I've made all kinds of things. I knit a lot for Liesel. I haven't made too much for my husband. He's pretty picky, but I make a ton for myself too, and I love knitting. So I know that there are a lot of knitting podcasts out there, and they seem to be popular. So hopefully you're here for the knitting and the sewing. So since this is my first, I don't really know how deep to get into things, so I'll just kind of jump off. I wanted to talk a little bit about my knitting projects that I have going on. I do have an FO this week. I have a finished hat. The ends aren't sewn in. When I came up here to record, it was still on the blocking mats and I realized it was dry. So I was like, ooh, I'll grab it real quick. So I have a nephew being born this month, at the end of the month. So this is the Bumble hat by Tin Can Knits. This is either my third or fourth Bumble. I just love it. And it's in the baby size. Maybe that's easier. So the Bumble it's a really easy pattern, but it has enough going on that I'm not just knitting, stockinetting around for inches and inches and inches. And this is the baby size, so it was finished in no time. So this is Sweet Fiber Merino Twist DK in olive, which is actually the contrast color in another project I'm going to show you. So I'm going to gift this to my brother and his wife for their new little baby. My first nephew. I have one daughter. We are not having any more children. And then my brother and his wife are having their first child. So I am so excited. It's a boy. I can't wait to see him and meet him and hold him. I'm so excited. Okay. And my daughter's excited too. She keeps talking about the baby. It'll be interesting when he gets here. So I also have, and I put it somewhere, there it is. I also have my Humulus sweater, which I started in June, and then I did the beekeeper knit along back in July. I knit along with that, and this kind of went to the wayside because of it. So I'm not very far on it. The yoke is done. So this is Sweet Fiber Merino Twist DK. In Vintage Lace is the main color, and then olive, the color in the Bumble, is the contrast. I'm trying to get man, it is hard to get accurate colors. It's a really, really pretty tonal green that I think will work really well. I love the Hops design. I saw it when it was being test knit on, I'm a big Plucky Knitter fan, and I saw it on the Plucky Knitter thread when somebody was test knitting it, and I just love the design. I don't drink a whole lot. I don't know. Ever since I got pregnant, I'm just not interested. I'm too tired to drink. But my husband likes beer, and so Charlotte and North Carolina in general, we're big beer people. So we go to breweries a lot. We go to beer gardens a lot. So I figured that this would be perfect to wear. Maybe it'll be cool enough in October for Oktoberfest. But if not, it'll be perfect to wear in the winter. I love the shape of it. I think it's going to fit really well without being too tight. I think that wearing it is going to open up the yoke just a little bit, because sometimes that color work can get a little scrunched when it's not blocked and worn. So I'm not very far. I have a few inches of the body done, but not much. I work from home, and a lot of times when I'm on conference calls, I will grab a knitting project so I'm not, being distracted by everything else in the world. So I'll usually knit a few rows during each day, and it doesn't get me very far, but everything adds up. You gotta touch your knitting every day to get actually anything done. Okay, so I have a third project too that I was going to show you. It's the Codicus, I have no idea how to say it, and it's embarrassing, by Caitlin Hunter of Boylan Knitworks. It's her shawl pattern in 4 colors of Farmer's Daughter Juicy DK. I think, oh gosh, I should have looked. The body color is Paul Newman, and then we have Patsy, Honky Tonk, and Eagle Eye, and I think this isn't added in yet. This is one of the colors. I'll make sure everything's on my Ravelry, and I'll make sure it's added to the show notes as well so you can see. But I'm through the first chart and onto the second stockinette part. I've only been knitting on this a few days. I am very structured with how I knit projects. I like to have a project for work. I like to have a project to work on the weekends. And I like to have a project to work on after work when I'm watching TV or hanging out with my husband or whatever. So this is my weekend project. I'll probably pick it up again tomorrow to work on a little bit more. It's also my Indie Untangled knit along project for Rhinebeck, because I am going to Rhinebeck this year. I'm very excited. And then it's also my Ramblin' Rhinebeck project for the Boylan Knitworks Farmer's Daughter collaboration. It's their knit along. So, and that's all on Ravelry and Instagram. I'm sure you've seen it. So I'm going to enter it in both, I think. And then I'm going to Rhinebeck with 2 friends, Lindsay and Morgan, and we are all going to wear our Cody Cuss shawls together, which will be so fun. I've never been to Rhinebeck. I don't think I've ever even been to a fiber festival as far as I know, which is crazy because Staff isn't that far away, but it just never seems to mesh well with my schedule. So I'm going this year. We rented a little house in Kingston and it's adorable. I can't wait to go. And I've been to New York City, like on an overnight trip with my husband, but I have never really been to New England or the Hudson Valley or anything. And I can't wait. I love fall. I'm sure you got that by the name of my podcast. And I just cannot wait to go. And I think we're going to take the train up from New York City when we fly in. And I am already daydreaming about all the fall colors. So I hope it doesn't disappoint because I'm so excited. Okay, so that's my knitting. I have those 3 projects. And then I have another one that I cast on, the Jones sweater by Tin Can Knits. I hesitate even showing it because there's not a lot to see right now. It's just kind of a band at the bottom right now. I just started it last night, but I'm holding 2 skeins of Plucky Feet in the oatmeal color. I'm holding it double to get the DK gauge. And so far it's fun. I've never held anything double like this, not for a project or like a longer term project like that. So I was really worried you would be able to tell, but I think it gives it a fun texture, but I don't think that it actually, focus. I don't think that it actually looks marly or anything. I don't know. We'll have to see it when it's blocked. This is going to be for my new nephew as well. It'll be a little set that goes with the Bumble hat, and I think it's going to be really adorable. And maybe it'll get cold this winter, and he'll actually be able to wear it instead of it being a warm winter. We'll see. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about my sewing too. I did the 100 days project, and I ended up quitting around day like 83 or something, even though I made a ton of stuff, because my daughter got sick, and then I got sick, and I was sick for a while. I had like a cold, and then I had a really bad sinus infection. And then we went to Florida. Like there was so much going on. And I was just like, all right, I can't do this anymore. So I quit. I'm a quitter with about 2 weeks left in the process, which stinks. But that doesn't mean I've given up on sewing. I did a lot in that time, especially after not sewing for a really long time. I made a ton of stuff for Liesel and a lot of clothes for me, which was fun. And I also did the Design Your Wardrobe with Seamwork magazine. I did their Design Your Wardrobe challenge, and that kind of helped me focus on what I wanted and what I wanted to make. It can get really overwhelming really quickly. I'm sure you've noticed. So that was really helpful, and I actually signed up to do it again for fall just to kind of make sure I know what I want to do and I'm not spinning my wheels trying to figure it out. So I do have 2 last projects for summer that I want to complete before I call it a day on summer. And it can stay warm here for a really long time. Probably until October. We'll have some warm days. Hopefully not. It's August now and I'm ready for 60-degree days, but that won't happen for a while. So I have 2 more things I want to make. I want to make the Sew Liberated Hinterland dress. You may have seen it. It was released a few weeks ago, and I snatched it up when the coupon code was going on. I want to make it in this Mariner's cloth from Allison Glass. This is a really fun cloth. It's a looser weave and it's textured. So the stripes are kind of woven into it, which is really fun. It's not just printed on. It's got a good drape to it too. I think it's going to work really well as a summer dress because it's so lightweight. Yeah, I love this color blue too. That was my overarching theme for the spring, summer, wardrobe plans was this color blue that kind of united everything. And a lot of my projects were blue. I don't know why. I just really like it. I wear jeans during the week because I'm working. And so I'm not, I'm just working and picking up Liesl from school. It's not a big to do, but on the weekends I like to wear dresses and I love like this summery color. It's also, I can't wear a whole lot of colors because I'm a redhead and I'm fair. A lot of colors wash me out or make me look like yellowish. So, it's a color that works for me pretty well. So I have that. My parents are watching Liesl tomorrow for the night and we'll pick her up Saturday. So I'm hoping after dinner I can relax and maybe sew out a dress that I can wear on Saturday. That would be wonderful. Okay, and then my other fabric, I have already made a skirt out of this for the summer, but I also want to make a Highlands wrap dress out of it. This is cotton and steel checkers. I think it's like 2.5-inch gingham, but it's just gingham, but it's wonderful. Some of the gingham I've worked with can be scratchy or really lightweight, so you can like hold up and see through it. This is a beautiful weight. It has some body to it, but it's not like sometimes quilting cotton, even though I've used it for garments, quilting cotton can be really full of body and stiff. And you don't always want that. That's not always the look you're going for. So this doesn't have that. It drapes really well. It has enough structure that it's going to hold its shape, but I don't know. I'm really excited to make that dress out of it. I've already made a Highlands wrap dress. It is super long. I did not heed any warnings to shorten it, which I should have. I'm only 5'4", and it's probably 3 inches too long. Like I have a train behind me pretty much when I wear it, which is why I haven't worn it yet. It's hanging up. So I plan on making the midi version with sleeves because that'll allow me to wear it just a little bit longer. But I love wrap dresses and I love gingham and I love blue. So why not combine them all? So that's my other plan. I probably won't get to do this one until next week. Time is very limited. So unless I have some designated time where I can just kind of shut everybody else out and work, I don't really get to sew that much anymore. And then that stack behind me, where my cat is right now, that'll get started on soon. The good thing about Liesl's clothes is that they're tiny. They're toddler size. So I can cut out, 4 geranium dresses or 4 tops or something like that and stack them all up and sew through them very quickly. They don't take fitting. They don't take a whole lot of work like mine do. So I'll probably start on those and I can work on them in the evening or on the weekend. I can make a whole bunch. And I'm really excited about some of the fabrics I've planned. 2-year-olds are fun to sew for. I feel like 2 to 4 is a perfect age because Liesl's picky about what she wears. She cares about what she wears, but she also will notice what she's wearing. So even if, I'm making it for her, she might not love it, but, oh, there's ghosts on it, or, oh, there's vegetables on it, or flowers or animals or whatever. There are like little things that she'll want to wear because of that. So I can usually try to get her to wear it, even though it's probably not what she originally wanted to wear, which was a knit dress that cost me $3 at Old Navy that it has seen better days. So that'll start on soon, and then I have some fall things that I want to make. I want to make a zinnia skirt from Colette. I want to make the Astoria sweater from Seamwork to go with it. Just a few other things too. I love Seamwork. I haven't really bought too many of their patterns in the past few months because I don't do the cropped boxy look. That's not me. And that's been a lot of their patterns, but looking forward to fall. And I really like that magazine. If you're ever thinking about subscribing, I think it's worth it. Definitely. Okay, so I guess this is my first podcast. That seemed really quick. I'm a fast talker, so I apologize if you're like, wait a minute, what did she say? I'm sorry. And I'm also nervous, so I'm probably talking even faster. I did create a blog for this where I'll have all the show notes. That's at sweaterweatherknits.wordpress.com. I'll include that when I upload to YouTube. And my Ravelry name is E Spizzetta, and my Instagram name is E Spizzetta too. I'll also include those on the blog and on YouTube, so you can easily access those. I'm not sure yet how often I'll do this, weekly or monthly. I guess it's going to depend. I don't want you guys to have to see the same projects over and over and over. That's no fun. So I'll probably wait until I have something fun or new to show you guys, even if it's just something small. And I'm hoping to do it weekly, but we'll see how quickly I can get things done. And that will be that. So thank you for joining me. Thanks for watching my little podcast. I'm excited to keep doing this. And yeah, until next time, thanks a lot.